Listen, before I even start, I need you to picture something. You just got off an 18-hour flight. Your body's exhausted. Your mind's running on hope more than sleep. And you're standing outside a wedding venue, dressed like you belong there, but someone looks you dead in the eyes and says, "Leave. Only family is allowed." Now imagine that someone is your father. Yeah, that's where this story begins. My name is Athena. I'm 34. I work in compliance consulting out of London. I read contracts for a living, which is ironic because the biggest betrayal of my life came in the form of a contract I never signed. Let me take you back. Growing up, there were always two versions of life in my house. My younger sister, Paige, she was the golden child. Birthdays, gifts, attention, everything came easy to her. Me? I learned early that if I wanted something, I had to figure it out myself. And I did. Scholarship, job, London, my own apartment, my own life. I didn't leave my family behind. They just never really followed. Then one day, out of nowhere, I get a wedding invitation. Paige is getting married. Inside the envelope, beautiful, expensive, clearly not cheap, and a handwritten note, "It wouldn't be complete without you." 7 years of distance, and suddenly I mattered again? Yeah, I should have trusted my gut. But I didn't. I booked the flight. Because sometimes you don't go back for them, you go back to see if maybe, just maybe, they've changed. Spoiler alert, they hadn't. Wedding day comes, I show up, dressed right, invitation in hand, heart trying to stay hopeful. And there he is, my father, standing outside like a gatekeeper. He doesn't hug me, doesn't smile, just says, "You need to leave." I literally held the invitation in my hand. Didn't matter. He called it a mistake. And behind him, through the glass, I could see my sister laughing in her wedding dress. My mom? She saw me too. She just turned away. No one came out, no one stopped it. So I left. Not because I agreed, but because I finally understood something in that moment. I was never meant to be there. 3 days later, my phone rings. My mom. No, how are you? No, I'm sorry. First thing she says, "We need to discuss the bill." I'm like, "What bill?" She says, "The wedding. $38,000. Your name is on it." Let that sink in. A wedding I wasn't even allowed to attend, and somehow I was paying for it? Now here's where things get interesting. Because see, I read contracts for a living, and I know one thing for sure. You don't accidentally become a guarantor on a $38,000 agreement. So I call the venue, ask for the contract. 2 days later, I get it. I open the document, scroll down to the signature, and there it is, my name. But not my signature, not even close. It looked like someone tried to copy it, like they practiced, but they got it wrong. And in that moment, something inside me changed. I stopped being emotional, and I started being precise. Because this wasn't just disrespect anymore. This was fraud. So I called my friend Rachel, she's a paralegal, and I said, "We're not guessing anymore. We're proving." We documented everything. Every message, every call, every lie they told the family. Because, oh yeah, by this point, my whole extended family thought I had promised to pay and then backed out. I was the villain in a story I didn't even know existed. But here's the thing about lies. They fall apart when you bring receipts. Sunday comes, family brunch, 15 people sitting around a table, all looking at me like I'm the problem. My dad starts talking, my mom adds tears, my sister plays victim. They all had their lines memorized. I didn't say a word. I just listened, let them build the story. And when they were done, I stood up, pulled out the contract, placed it on the table. Then my passport, right next to it. And I said, "That's not my signature." Silence. Real silence. The kind that makes people uncomfortable. Then I added one more thing. The venue has already started investigating forgery. And just like that, everything shifted. My aunt picked up the paper, compared the signatures. Her face changed. My uncle stood up. My sister's husband, Tyler, looked at her like he didn't even recognize her. And my father, for the first time in my life, had nothing to say. Because the truth doesn't need volume, it just needs proof. Turns out, my dad had walked into that venue months ago, signed my name himself, used my personal information, and thought I'd just quietly pay the bill like I always cleaned up their messes. But not this time. The contract got voided. Every single dollar went back to them. And just like that, the story they built about me collapsed. But here's the part nobody talks about. Winning doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like silence, like standing alone after a storm and realizing you didn't lose them, they lost you. Months later, things changed. My dad sold his truck to pay the debt. My mom got a job. My sister's marriage almost fell apart because trust doesn't survive lies like that. And me? I went back to London, back to my life. But something was different. I stopped saying yes when I meant no. I stopped answering calls that only came with expectations. I stopped letting people treat my kindness like it was an obligation. Because here's the truth. Family isn't who shares your blood. Family is who shows up without trying to take something from you. Sometimes that's not the people you were born into. Sometimes it's the people you choose. So, if you're listening to this and something in your chest feels tight, if you've ever been the one who always gives, always fixes, always pays, let me tell you something nobody told me early enough. You are not a backup plan. You are not a safety net. And your name is yours. Nobody gets to sign it, use it, or carry it without your permission. Not even family. Especially not family. And if you've ever had to choose between keeping the peace or choosing yourself, I want to know. Because stories like this don't just belong to me. They belong to anyone who finally decided, enough.